There's a few things I wish I knew before I started riding motorcycles, and this would have saved me some time, some headache, and that's what I'm hoping to do for you. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about what I wish I knew before I started riding while I am riding this 2022 Indian Chief Dark Horse and have a ton of fun in town while being safe. All right, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So up on the right side of your screen, you're going to see all the little chapters that we're going to have here. So if you want to skip around, go right ahead. This is the too long, didn't read type section. But let's go ahead and jump into the first one and talk about that the first bike might not be the one. Now, let's go ahead and go over a little story about me. So when I first started riding, it was in November 2011, and all I knew was the Harley Davidson, baby. Woo! HD. Now, the reason why I only really knew about HD is because, hey, it's the most popular. Market share was huge. I think back then it was like 40 to 50%. So most of them in the United States, boom, there it is. Plus, I had an influencer basically showing me. And my influence was Matt. Now, Matt, you guys know he's the one that flies the drone at the firehouse. He also chews on the cables and ruins everything. But anyways, he had a Harley Davidson Sportster 2008. And I really wanted it. I wanted the same thing. I didn't know too much about motorcycles, so he kind of convinced me, which was not a bad deal. You know, he kind of helped me out with everything. He helped me buy it and all that. Either way, I thought this is the bike. That's it, that's it, that's it. And then I finally went to do some demo rides and rode other things. You know, I rode an Indian Scout. I rode an Indian Roadmaster. And you know what? What I found out is that the Indian Scouts were nice and badass, and I was like, man, I spent so much time and effort, so much money into this, the Harley Davidson. It's like, I kind of just want to get a brand new Indian Scout. So I was kind of blown away by the fact that this isn't the one. This isn't the one bike I'm going to have forever. Now, that's just me, but just realize that might be you too. So go ahead and grab the bike that you like, enjoy it, enjoy it, enjoy it. Use it as a tool for fun, use it for a tool for enjoyment and for adventure. But don't feel like, you know what, I'm just gonna go ahead and keep this bike forever and never, ever, ever change, and then be basically brand loyal the whole time. Be bike agnostic. Don't stick with one brand, don't stick with one kind of bike, don't stick with anything really. Keep reevaluating what it is that makes you happy. So the next thing is the rear brake. You know, the rear brake is very, very, very important. Now, let everyone, and even me, I'm telling you, squeeze that front brake, progressive brake pressure. Well, guess what? On a cruiser specifically, and you know, any motorcycle really, but cruiser specifically, you're gonna have more power, braking power on that rear brake than you would on a sport bike. Now, let's go ahead and go over a little bit. Let's go ahead and just go over a little bit. We already have a video on braking if you want to check that out. But here's the thing. So when you apply some brake pressure, that front tire is going to get more and more weight because you're starting to go forward and forward and forward because you're slowing down. Now, what happens there is that when that front tire gets more and more traction, it can have more and more braking power. So that rear tire, that rear brake, gets less and less and less when you're applying more and more brake and you're slowing down more and more and more. So a lot of people say, hey, don't worry about the rear brake, it's all front brake. No, 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 no. On cruisers and sport bikes, but cruisers mainly, you're gonna get a lot of power. So like 40% to 30% rear brake power, stopping power is on the rear brake, and then the front brake is about 60 to 70%. Now, in sport bikes, it can be like 80-20 front rear or 90-10 front rear, especially when you start applying that progressive brake pressure. But you're leaving 10 to 20, 10 to 40% of brake power off the table if you don't utilize that rear brake the right way. So make sure you use both of them, but realize that once you start getting towards the end of the braking, the progressive braking, that front brake is really, 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 really important. And it's a good thing because our hands are a little bit more dexterous, I think that's how you say it, and easier to manipulate than your toes. But definitely, definitely use that rear brake, definitely use the front brake, use progressive brake pressure. And rear brakes are really good for slow speed maneuvers, which we have quite a bit on this channel, so you might want to check it out and learn, practice, practice, practice. All right, so basic motorcycle protection is something I wish I knew. Okay, so I drop my bike all the time when I first started. I drop my bike in the desert when I'm riding. I'm keeping an eye on this person. When I was riding my Sportster out in the desert, always dropping, always scratching shit up. And here's the thing, get some basic motorcycle protection. So basic motorcycle protection would be like crash guards, frame sliders, case protection, so your engine protection, everything. Maybe some bendable levers or breakaway levers that kind of fold up if you drop it on the side, bar end protection, mirror protection, exhaust, just like random things here and there. Maybe even if you have a radiator on your bike, so if it's liquid cooled, you want to get like a radiator guard so that if rocks get kicked up, they hit the metal guard instead of the fins on your radiator so they don't get damaged. There's so many different things that you can do to minimize a possible issue when you're out riding. You don't want to get something kicked up in your radiator guard and all of a sudden you're spewing fluid onto your rear tire and boom, you slip. Or it's some issue with an oil filter, you get a guard, boom, you don't want to get a rock in there. So make sure you just get some basic motorcycle protection. That way you are prepped and ready for anything, because you never know if a rock is going to get kicked up and damage your baby, you know, the one bike that you think you have. All right, so another thing that you want to do, and this is very important, so crew, here it is, okay, pay attention to your tires. So pay attention to your tires. Right now I'm planning my ride. I'm making sure I'm off to the side. I don't want to get sandwiched between this Nissan and this Camry in front of me. Good line of sight. All right. So anyways, pay attention to your tires. The best way to do it, and this is kind of what we did in the fire service. We had a daily check, weekly check, monthly checks for the ambulance, the fire truck, basically anything, okay? So a daily check would be a quick visual and checking the PSI. So the visual would be checking for any damage. PSI will check and make sure that it has the appropriate PSI in the tires. That's pretty much it for the tires. Now, a weekly check would be a little bit more in depth. We'd spend a little bit more time on it. Instead of just doing a quick reference, we would actually check the tread depth. We would check everything. And a monthly check, we would spend a little bit more time making sure there definitely wasn't any damage. We'd go underneath the carriage. We'd make sure everything was all situated, okay? So the best way I can really tell you guys how to handle this situation when it comes to motorcycles is if you're riding daily, do a quick visual inspection. Like when you wake up, you're gonna go to work, okay? So do a quick visual inspection and get a very trusty tire pressure gauge, a digital gauge. Just do a quick check of the tire PSI. That's what I would do. And then when you go to work, just go to work. Have fun, go to work. And then before you leave work, go ahead and do another quick visual inspection. I don't think you need to check your PSI, but do a quick visual inspection and see if it looks flat, low, whatever it is, and then go home. And then the next day, do it all over again. Do the PSI, and then do a quick visual inspection, go to work, same thing, over and over and over again until you get to the weekend. So what do you do on the weekend? You're gonna go ahead and do another inspection, but check the PSI and start filling it up, start checking everything, make sure that there's no damage to the outsides on the sidewalls, make sure there's no chips or anything, do an actual roll it back and forth, take a quick look. And then the monthly, you're gonna wanna check tire tread depth, and you're gonna wanna make sure that definitely everything is good. So by the time you get through like week 2, I mean, I know it sounds like a lot, you get through week 2, you are so good at looking at it, it's gonna be to where it's just a natural response. You're like, hey, I'm so used to seeing this, and it's like, I don't recognize this type of damage like 2 days ago or yesterday or this morning, because I'm so used to seeing what the normal is. And that's what you wanna get. You wanna get a baseline of what normal is. And that's gonna help you out, because if you have too low of PSI, you take a turn, it can delaminate from the rim. If it's too high of a PSI and try to take a turn, you might lose a little bit of traction because it's so hard and it's not gonna grip the road as well, because it's not gonna sink into the little crevices and the aggregate of the road. Also, if it's bald, so there's like no more tread, you're not gonna have any type of water disbursement with the tires or gravel disbursements. You're gonna have traction loss issues. There's just so many different issues when it comes to the tires, and you don't want to be messing around with the tires. And that's one thing I didn't really pay attention to when I first started riding, because it's like, whatever, I barely paid attention to it in my car. And then I started to really realize, oh, this is very, very important. I need to be paying attention to this. So I know a lot of you are thinking, okay, I'm gonna get into motorcycling. Woo, motorcycles, all right. But we're not even paying attention to the gear. So I'm wearing full gear right now, but I'm telling you what, at the beginning, I'm gonna go ahead and present myself and open up a little bit of a space cushion so people can see where I'm at. We got a left turner and a right turner. Okay, everyone sees me. Now I get to go back into yellow stage, get a good line of sight. All right, so gear though. I didn't think about getting gear. I was like, I want the motorcycle, I can't afford the gear, or I didn't think and care about it. I'm just gonna ride motorcycles. You need to buy good gear as soon as you can. You're on the motorcycle, you're traveling 35 miles an hour, you fall, hit yourself on the ground, you get road rash level 1, 2, or 3, completely changes your life, or you get a traumatic brain injury, and that's gonna completely change who you are, which is very scary. You know, imagine who you are right now, you get a brain injury, you're a completely different person. You could be the nicest person right now, turn into somebody angry. Be the angriest person now, turn into somebody nice. Hey, that might be great, but you might forget how to do a lot of things, or, you know, you might learn how to play the piano. But either way, it's gonna be something completely different. It's a roll of dice, and it's mostly bad, okay? So get good gear as soon as you can. We have a list of gear in the description. RevZilla is a great affiliate, so they're doing really great. There's a list for all beginner gear, pretty inexpensive stuff, but highly rated stuff. Check it out. You're gonna like it, but get good gear as soon as you can. It's super important. You never know what's gonna happen. You never know if somebody's gonna pull out in front of you. You never know if something's gonna fail. You never know. You never know. It's a good insurance policy, basically, without getting insurance, all right? The last thing I want to talk to you guys about is getting professional coaching. Now, professional, amateur, all that stuff, what's the difference between an amateur and a professional? Well, one of them gets paid, okay? That's pretty much it. The knowledge is extremely important, and that can be translated all over the place. And the best coaches are the ones that really have that beginner's mind and really try to see where you're coming from. And that's what I want to try to do in anything I do with this. You know, with the Dan and the Fireman channel, doing after action reviews, with this channel doing tip videos so you can kind of get an idea of what it is that we need to do. And then also with training videos that we're going to be putting more and more and more on this channel. But professional coaching, especially in-person coaching. Okay, as a YouTuber, as somebody that does digital content, I'm literally telling you to go get in-person professional coaching, because there's a different way of learning. There's people learn hands-on, people learn having to see, and you have to do that if you're gonna ride motorcycles. It's good information on YouTube or on the internet, and that is just one type of information. Get all types, So go out there, get professional training. Utilize the knowledge that you're getting from these channels. I like to park over here just in case. Plus, I like to put my foot down here because I'm short. It's just a habit. Anyways, get professional coaching. You're going to learn so much. Even if you've been riding for a couple years and you've never taken the MSF-BRC 1, but you have your endorsement, go out and take the MSF-BRC 1, maybe even the BRC 2, which is the little more advanced one you can ride your motorcycle, or even the advanced rider course. And you're going to realize, oh crap, there's so much I did not know. And that's very, very important to figure out, because what you don't know, you don't know. What you don't know can hurt you too, on top of that. So go out there, get professional coaching, become a better rider, become a smart rider, all right? And subscribe to this channel. With that said, I'll be seeing you guys around. Bye.